Imagine a team member hits a home run on a major project presentation. Or, on the flip side, they completely derail a critical meeting. Now, imagine you wait 3 weeks to say something to them about it. By the time you finally bring it up, the momentum is dead, the details are blurry, and the impact of your words is completely gone. The single biggest mistake leaders make with feedback isn't what they say. It's when they say it. They wait too long. They save it up for the next official one-on-one, or worse, the annual performance review. But great leadership requires real-time execution. Feedback is the chance you give someone else to improve. If you withhold it, you are actively denying them that opportunity. Feedback has an expiration date. As a leader, your target should always be a 24 to 48-hour window. If someone does something exceptional on Monday morning, they should hear about it before Tuesday afternoon. If a course correction is needed, it should happen immediately after the event, once you've had a brief moment to organize your thoughts. Do not let days or weeks pass, because delayed feedback is diluted feedback. To make your real-time feedback effective, you must follow a strict rule. Address issues one at a time, with space between them. Do not wait for issues to accumulate. When a leader stays silent and lets multiple small mistakes pile up over a few weeks, they eventually deliver a mountain of criticism all at once. This completely overloads the recipient. When an employee is hit with a long list of corrections, their brain goes into survival mode. They cannot process the data, they become highly defensive, and they leave the conversation feeling defeated rather than motivated. By addressing each issue individually as it happens, you keep the cognitive load light, allowing the person to actually process, accept, and fix the behavior before moving forward. To make sure your timely, single-issue feedback actually drives change, it needs to be actionable. The best way to do this is by establishing common ground first, which completely eliminates defensiveness. Here is the 3-step framework. Begin the conversation by stating the objective you both care about. This establishes that you are on the same team. For example, our goal for this project is to deliver a flawless final presentation to the client so we can secure their trust and sign the contract. Describe what is necessary to achieve that goal. Outline the standard process or behavior required to meet that goal. Because you are describing what is already known, like an agreed-upon project requirement or a universal standard of quality, the other person will naturally agree with you. For example, to achieve that, it's necessary for us to double-check all the data and run a complete practice walkthrough before the actual meeting. Since this makes logical sense, they will say yes. You now have agreement and alignment. Once you have the agreement from the other party, you explain where reality missed the mark. Because they just agreed to the goal and the necessary steps, they cannot easily deny the gap. You simply point out the factual deviation. In yesterday's preparation, the data review didn't happen, which led to a few critical errors during the live presentation. Let's talk about how we can make sure that walkthrough happens every single time moving forward. Why is speed so critical? It comes down to 3 main reasons. Human memory degrades fast. When you wait 2 weeks to give feedback, you aren't just delivering a critique, you are trying to reconstruct history. The employee will likely remember the event differently than you do. Instead of focusing on growth or performance, the conversation gets hijacked by a debate over what actually happened. When you give feedback within 24 hours, the video recording is fresh in everyone's mind. You spend 0 time arguing facts and 100% of the time focusing on the lesson. Behavior that is rewarded immediately is repeated. Behavior that is corrected immediately stops. If an employee tries a new, highly effective method and you praise them that afternoon, Their brain registers that victory and locks it in as a habit. Conversely, if they miss a critical step and you say nothing for 2 weeks, you have just implicitly taught them that their mistake is acceptable. By staying silent, you are actively permitting a bad habit to set. Avoiding a short-term discussion can lead to a long-term dysfunction. When leaders save up their feedback for quarterly or annual reviews, it creates a toxic blindside culture. Employees walk into review rooms feeling defensive, wondering what mistake from 3 months ago is about to be pulled out of a vault and used against them. Timely feedback changes the entire dynamic. It transforms you from a distant judge into a real-time coach. When feedback becomes a normal daily occurrence, the anxiety vanishes, and your team starts prioritizing execution over self-defense. While speed is vital, immediate must never mean impulsive. The only valid reason to delay feedback is if emotions, either yours or your team members, are running too high to be productive. If an incident occurs and you feel frustrated, do not deliver a heavy reprimand in that exact second. Take a step back, sleep on it if necessary, and cool down. However, ensure you still strike within that 24-hour window once heads are clear. You want to lead with objective data and support, not emotional reactions. As you prepare your feedback, you must first categorize the problem. Is it a technical issue or is it a behavioral issue? A technical issue is a gap in knowledge, skill, or process. For example, an analyst miscalculates a metric because they don't fully understand a new software tool, or a team member misses a step in a standard verification process. On how to address it, these are structural. You address them with training, documentation, clearer guidelines, or mentoring. Because it's a matter of ability rather than intent, employees rarely get defensive. Technical skills are objective. You can easily measure them, train them, and provide a clear roadmap to fix them. A behavioral issue is a gap in attitude, conduct, or professional maturity. This includes things like arriving late to meetings, interrupting colleagues, resistance to change, or a lack of accountability. How to address it? These are personal. You address them by focusing on the impact of their conduct on the team culture and performance. You must clearly define the behavioral expectation and get their commitment to change how they show up. Behavior is tied to identity and, sometimes, deep-seated habits. It requires mindset shifts, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness from the employee. It is much harder to change a person's attitude than it is to teach them a new tool or skill. Receiving feedback effectively is just as critical as giving it. For leaders and high-performing professionals, how you react to feedback determines whether your team will continue to be honest with you or simply tell you what you want to hear. Here is a structured framework on how to receive feedback, designed to maintain professional alignment and eliminate defensiveness. When receiving constructive feedback, the human brain naturally treats it as a threat, triggering a defensive or emotional response. The action: pause. Do not interrupt, defend your intentions, or explain why you did what you did. The mindset: remind yourself that feedback is data, not a personal attack. Your sole objective in the first 60 seconds is to listen and understand the other person's perspective. Just like giving feedback, receiving it requires alignment. If the person giving you feedback doesn't explicitly state the goal, look for it yourself or ask for clarification to find common ground. The framework: tie their feedback back to a standard or objective you both care about. What to say? I agree that our main objective here is to keep the project on schedule and maintain high quality. Let's look at where we missed that mark. To make the feedback actionable, categorize the information into 2 distinct buckets: the technical or process gaps. Is this an issue with a specific execution, data point, or process? These are structural, objective, and the easiest to fix. Focus your energy here first. The behavioral or perception gaps. Is this about how your delivery, attitude, or communication style impacted someone else? Even if you didn't intend to come across a certain way, accept that perception is reality for the person speaking to you. Ask clarifying questions, don't debate. Instead of litigating past events or arguing over faded memories, ask precise, forward-looking questions to get specific details. Instead of, "That's not how it happened. I only did that because..." Say this. "Can you give me a specific example so I can better understand where that gap occurred?" Or, "What is necessary for me to do differently next time to achieve the goal?" Feedback is entirely useless without execution. Once you understand the gap, define your next step and follow up later to close the loop. The close. Thank the person for their candor. It takes courage to give feedback, especially to a leader or a peer. The action plan. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Moving forward, I am going to implement these changes. Let's touch base in 2 weeks to ensure we are aligned. By treating feedback as a tool for optimization rather than a judgment on your capability, you accelerate your own professional development and build a culture of high trust around you. Conclusion and action plan. The two-way street. Your challenge as a leader this week is simple. Shift to a default of action mindset with your communication. Remember, feedback is the chance you give someone else to improve, so don't make them wait for it, and don't overwhelm them with a massive pile of issues all at once. Isolate the issue, align on the goal, and address it within 24 hours. But remember, true leadership communication is a two-way street. How you receive feedback yourself is just as important as how you give it. For leaders and high-performing professionals, how you react to feedback determines whether your team will continue to be honest or just tell you what you want to hear. When your team gives you feedback, control your first reaction. Pause, listen, and look for the shared goal instead of defending your intentions. Thank them for their candor, isolate the gaps, and commit to action. When you master both sides of this loop, giving timely, single-issue guidance and receiving feedback with an open, execution-focused mindset, you eliminate anxiety, build a culture of high trust, and transform your team.